The atmosphere around San Francisco this week feels different, heavier, charged with that familiar playoff tension that only January football can bring. The team stepped off the practice field, still fully locked into preparations for a Saturday night showdown in Seattle. A divisional round clash that carries the weight of a season and the promise of something bigger. A trip to the conference championship is on the line, and everyone inside the building understands exactly what that means, especially against a division rival that knows them well and will not make anything easy. The focus on the practice field quickly shifted to the injury situation, and for the 49ers, there were several developments that stood out. Not all of them were perfect, but there was enough positivity to create real optimism. One of the more concerning absences involved a key defensive back dealing with a hamstring issue, who was unable to practice. That absence explains why the front office moved quickly to reinforce the secondary, bringing in a safety with real game experience, athleticism, and familiarity with high-level defensive systems. This is not a move made for depth alone. It signals that the coaching staff is preparing for the very real possibility that they will need reliable snaps from players who were not originally part of the plan earlier in the season. That reality likely sets up a safety pairing that leans on youth and physicality. One rookie has already shown he can handle the moment, especially after his strong performance against Philadelphia, while his partner brings a downhill, aggressive style that fits the identity of this defense against the Seattle offense that thrives on explosive plays and improvisation. Communication and discipline on the back end will be critical, and that group will be tested early and often. On the offensive side of the ball, there was encouraging movement involving a wide receiver who has been working his way back from a hamstring injury. He was a full participant in practice, which is a meaningful step even if his role remains uncertain. Trust is everything in this offense, especially at wide receiver, and earning that trust takes time. Still, his speed presents a wrinkle that could be useful, particularly in design touches where the ball gets out quickly and stresses the edges of the defense. Even the threat of that speed can influence how Seattle aligns. Linebacker depth also continues to be one of the more fascinating storylines of this playoff run. Another starter remains sidelined, which again opened the door for veteran replacements who were added late in the season and thrown directly into meaningful snaps. What they showed last week was poise, instincts, and a level of comfort that is hard to manufacture on short notice. Missed tackles were minimal. Coverage responsibilities were handled cleanly, and perhaps most importantly, they looked like players who understood exactly where they were supposed to be. That kind of veteran calm can settle an entire defense, especially in hostile environments. Several other contributors were limited but active, including players managing knee and ankle issues. Among them was a wide receiver whose health has been closely monitored all season. Watching him move during practice told a story of progress. He was able to accelerate, decelerate, and cut with confidence, running routes and securing catches without visible hesitation. The key with his injury has always been stability, and confidence in that stability often matters just as much as medical clearance. His own belief that he can play carries weight, especially considering his past success against this Seattle defense, including a standout performance earlier in the season when he was a decisive factor late in the game. If he is able to go, the ripple effect on the roster could be significant. It would allow the offense to lean on its top receiving options without overextending depth players, and it would free up flexibility elsewhere, particularly on special teams and defense, where the roster has been stretched. These are the kinds of hidden advantages that do not show up in headlines, but can shape the flow of a playoff game. Then there is the development that has everyone talking. Seeing the heart of this defense back on the practice field, even in a limited capacity, was something few expected at this stage. Watching him move, cut, and change direction did not look like a player simply going through motions. It looked like someone pushing toward readiness. The timeline alone makes it remarkable. An injury that severe typically in seasons, yet here he is, already bouncing around and engaging fully in drills that demand trust in his body. The approach has been careful and deliberate, guided by constant communication with medical staff and trainers. Nothing about this process appears rushed or reckless. The message has been consistent. Progress has dictated opportunity, not emotion or desperation. Still, the possibility that he could suit up this weekend is no longer fantasy. It is a legitimate discussion point, and that alone speaks volumes about his recovery and mindset. His presence, even if limited, would change everything. He is not just another linebacker. He is the signal caller, the emotional center, the player whose instincts and leadership elevate everyone around him. Teammates feed off his energy. An opponent's game plan specifically to account for him. The idea that he could return this quickly in a game of this magnitude underscores why he is regarded as one of the defining players of this era for the franchise. Up front, the offensive line received a major boost with the return of its anchor as a full participant. The difference when he is on the field is undeniable. His presence improves run efficiency, stabilizes pass protection, and lifts the confidence of the entire unit. The contrast was evident earlier in the season when he was unavailable against Seattle, and the offense struggled to find any rhythm on the ground. When he plays, lanes open, timing improves, and the offense becomes far more balanced and dangerous across the field. Seattle's injury situation bears monitoring as well. One of their premier pass rushers dealt with an Achilles concern, but progressed to full participation, which is an encouraging sign for them. Another key piece along the offensive line showed some fluctuation in practice status, and that is something that could have real implications. Facing this defensive front with any limitation up front is a challenge, especially in a game where protection breakdowns can swing momentum in an instant. As the week continues to unfold, the conversation inside the facility keeps circling back to how thin the margin for error becomes in games like this. Divisional playoff matchups rarely hinge on one single moment. They are decided by accumulation, by a handful of plays that tilt field position, swing confidence, or force one side to chase the game earlier than planned. That understanding is shaping how this team approaches every detail, especially knowing that Seattle will feed off the energy of its home crowd and look to create chaos from the opening snap. Preparation has centered heavily on discipline, particularly in the secondary and at linebacker, where communication must be flawless. Seattle's offense thrives when plays extend beyond structure. When the quarterback escapes and receivers uncover late, that puts stress on defenders to trust their assignments while also reacting instinctively. The young players expected to shoulder major responsibility this weekend are being asked to play fast without playing reckless, a balance that only comes with confidence and repetition. The coaching staff has been intentional about simplifying certain calls, allowing athleticism and physicality to take over. Once the ball is snapped, offensively, the emphasis remains on establishing rhythm early. Seattle's defensive front can be disruptive when allowed to dictate terms, so staying ahead of the chains is critical. That means efficient early downs, smart use of motion, and leaning into the versatility that defines this offense at its best. When the running game is functioning, everything else opens up, and the playbook expands in ways that put defenders in conflict. The presence of a fully healthy left side of the offensive line gives the offense the freedom to be patient, to probe, and to wear down a defense over the course of 4 quarters. The quarterback's role in all of this cannot be overstated. His command of the huddle, his ability to get the offense into the right looks, and his willingness to take what the defense gives him will shape the tempo of the game. Against Seattle, forcing throws into tight windows has rarely been rewarded. The formula has always been about efficiency, ball security, and letting playmakers create after the catch. That mindset has been reinforced all week, especially in practice situations designed to simulate crowd noise and late down pressure. One of the quieter but equally important aspects of this matchup is special teams. In a game expected to be tight, hidden yardage matters, field position swings, coverage discipline, and execution in the return game can flip momentum without ever showing up on the stat sheet in obvious ways. The coaching staff has been deliberate in emphasizing lane integrity and decision-making, understanding that one lapse can hand a divisional opponent a short field in a hostile environment. Emotionally, this team appears grounded. There is excitement, of course, but it is controlled. Veterans have been vocal about maintaining routine, about treating this week like any other while fully respecting the stakes. Younger players are leaning on that leadership, absorbing how preparation changes in the postseason without becoming overwhelming. That balance between urgency and calm is something championship-level teams cultivate over time, and it is being tested now. The potential return of a defensive cornerstone continues to loom large, not just in terms of what he provides physically, but what he represents symbolically. His presence on the sideline, helmet on, engaged in every snap, would be a jolt of energy for the entire roster, even if his role is limited. The message it sends about resilience and commitment resonates deeply in a locker room, chasing something bigger than individual accolades. Seattle, meanwhile, will not lack confidence. They know this opponent. They have seen them at their best and at their most vulnerable. Their game plan will likely aim to test the edges early, to force adjustments, and to see how the 49ers respond when things do not go exactly as scripted. That chess match, the back and forth of counters and adjustments, is what defines playoff football at this level. What makes this matchup so compelling is how familiar yet unpredictable it remains. The schemes are known, the personnel is familiar, and yet the context changes everything. One play can shift belief, one stop can silence a crowd, one sustained drive can drain the life out of a stadium. Both teams understand that reality, and both are preparing accordingly inside the building. The message has been consistent: play with speed, play with purpose. Trust the work that has been put in since the spring. The opportunity is there, but nothing will be handed over. In a divisional playoff on the road, execution becomes identity. And identity is what this team has spent the entire season defining through adversity, resilience, and an unshakable belief in one another. As the team looks ahead to Saturday night, the collective mindset seems clear. There is respect for Seattle's talent and for the challenges of playing on the road. But there is also confidence rooted in preparation and resilience. This roster has dealt with injuries, lineup changes, and adversity throughout the season. Yet it continues to respond with depth and adaptability. Seattle's own injury situation adds another variable to the equation. A fully healthy pass rusher strengthens their defensive front, but questions along the offensive line could create opportunities for San Francisco's defense to apply pressure. Any limitation at left tackle is magnified against a pass rush that thrives on forcing uncomfortable pockets and hurried decisions. Ultimately, this game is shaping up to be a test of execution under pressure. Talent will matter, but so will discipline, communication, and the ability to adjust on the fly. The 49ers are not entering this matchup at full strength, but they are entering it with momentum, belief, and the possible return of players who embody the identity of the team. Every sign coming out of practice suggests a group that understands the moment and is embracing the challenge. The physical preparation continues, the medical evaluations remain ongoing, and the anticipation builds with each passing day. What unfolds on Saturday night will be the result of all these moving parts coming together, shaped by health, timing, and the willingness of this team to rise when the stakes are at their highest. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to 49ers Zone and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the San Francisco 49ers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In what could be the most shocking move of the offseason, whispers around the league suggest that the San Francisco 49ers are setting their sights on a blockbuster addition to their ground game. Sources hint that the team is in advanced discussions to bring Saquon Barkley, the dynamic running back from the Philadelphia Eagles, to the West Coast. If true, this could signal a seismic shift in the 49ers' offensive strategy, one that has already been buzzing with anticipation among fans and analysts alike. Barkley, who has dazzled crowds with his combination of speed, vision, and explosive power, has long been considered one of the most electrifying talents in the NFL, despite dealing with injuries in recent seasons. His ability to change the complexion of a game in a single play remains undeniable. A move to San Francisco could provide him with a fresh start, surrounded by an offensive line known for creating running lanes and a coaching staff renowned for tailoring schemes to maximize a star back's potential. For the 49ers, the lure of Barkley goes beyond mere statistics. Their ground game has been solid, yet never quite reached the level of dominance they've envisioned. Adding a talent of Barkley's caliber could elevate the team from being a balanced offense to one that strikes fear in defenses from the opening snap. Moreover, Barkley's presence could open up the passing game as well, with defenses forced to account for his threat on every play. The speculation alone has already sent social media into a frenzy, with fans imagining the combination of Barkley's agility and the 49ers' creative run schemes. On the flip side, the Eagles would face a major transition without their star back. While rumors have not confirmed any specific trade terms or draft compensation, insiders suggest that if a deal were to materialize, it would likely involve a high draft pick or multiple assets heading east. For Barkley, the move could represent a chance to redefine his narrative, proving he can overcome past injuries and become the centerpiece of a team built to contend for the championship. While the NFL is no stranger to trade speculation, few potential moves carry the level of intrigue and impact that a Saquon Barkley to 49ers scenario would ignite. Fans and pundits alike are waiting, breathless, for any confirmation. Until then, the rumor mill churns, painting a tantalizing picture of what could be the defining play of the offseason. One thing is certain: if this deal comes to fruition, the 49ers offense will be one to watch, and Barkley's legacy may enter a bold new chapter on the West Coast. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the San Francisco 49ers, make sure to subscribe to 49ers Zone and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.